The initial text peruses that Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay were the initial two individuals to climb Mount Everest effectively. From that point forward, just many experts have endeavored to do likewise, with 1 out of 4 kicking the bucket. Set in the year 1996, Loot Lobby accumulated his group, experienced experts, to feel free to climb Everest themselves. Loot meets with his group, including experienced climber Beck Climates, Doug Hansen, Yasuko Namba, and co-guide Andy Harold Harris. Together, they intend to leave on what they trust will be a fruitful and brave campaign. A month and a half before the underlying trip, Ransack and his group are in New Zealand prepared to withdraw from the air terminal. He's with the director of the headquarters, Helen Wilton, and his companion, collaborator fellow Cotter. Ransack illuminates his companions that he booked columnist John Krakauer to do an article on them, which he planned to accomplish for another Endeavour group, Mountain Frenzy. Ransack later clarifies for his group the perilous heights and temperatures of the demise zone on Everest, which they desire to move beyond fast enough before things get truly dodgy. Prior to loading onto the plane, Loot expresses farewell to his pregnant spouse Jan. Loot vows to get back for the birth. Jan later sends him a message to tell him that they'll have a young lady. The undertakings come to the lower part of the mountain prior to making a beeline for the headquarters. There, Ransack runs into Scott Fisher, the head of Mountain Franticness. He's a piece irritated at Loot for getting John to move to their undertaking, however is still based on fine conditions. Afterward, Loot acquaints the group with the camp's PCP Caroline Mackenzie. She and Denai help the climbers to remember the absence of oxygen at the highest point of Everest, as well as the risks of hypothermia and hypoxia. We see clasps of climbers capitulating to the cold and passing on. Beck calls his significant other Peach from the headquarters after he neglected to send her a directive for their commemoration. She could do without him getting over mountains and has expressed that she'd separate from him assuming he at any point got over another mountain. He didn't tune in. Experience experts and different endeavors move from headquarters to Camp 2. They stroll across a decent stepping stool going about as a scaffold looming over a chasm. Immense ice lumps sever and slide down under the heaviness of the multitude of climbers, making the stepping stool shake, making Beck almost fall over. He holds on with a death grip and is directed by Denai the remainder of the way finished. Confronting a few worries, Ransack recommends to Scott that they consolidate their undertakings to get to the top securely, and to climb sometime in the future. Scott is reluctant, saying that he and Burglarize have various styles, yet he eventually consents to the association. The two meet with their groups later to express that they anticipate having 8 oxygen tanks at the top. Scott's aide, Anatoly Balkriv, says he won't utilize oxygen. Denai inclinations the remainder of his group to utilize oxygen. The air conditioner group assembles in a tent around evening time to examine the reason why they're climbing. Doug says that he needs to demonstrate that a conventional individual can do the inconceivable. Yasuko needs to be the most established lady to climb Everest. The groups experience issues on their culmination, for example, a few climbers starting to become sick, Beck experiencing difficulty seeing because of a medical procedure he had a year prior, and no decent ropes over the south highest point, compelling a few climbers to turn around. Beck stays behind on the southeast edge. Fellow, who is scaling the mountain close to Everest, notices Ransack and organization from his POV and reaches them to ensure they're okay. At long last, a portion of the climbers begin to come to the extremely top and imprint their spots on Everest. Anatoly is quick to contact the top, and Yasuko puts a Japanese banner on there. Burglarize contacts Helen back at headquarters to illuminate her and the group that they came to the top. She and the remainder of the camp cheer the group on. Doug is as yet moving, in spite of his well-being quickly weakening, and his oxygen levels dropping. Loot runs into him on the manner in which down and he demands to Doug that it's finished, and that he gave it a decent run, yet Doug isn't yet fulfilled and concludes he needs to continue to climb. Moved by his assurance, Ransack guides Doug to the top. A colossal snowstorm begins pushing toward Everest, meaning something bad for the dropping climbers. Burglarize and Doug get hit as the tempest raises a ruckus around town, constraining them to seek shelter. As they get lower, Ransack sees there aren't any oxygen tanks where he mentioned, so he radios Helen to send some up. He and Doug continue to stroll as the breezes increase. Doug, scarcely cognizant, unfastens himself from Loot's aid rope. His unsteadiness, joined with the weighty breeze, makes him fall past the brink to his demise. Beck's vision declines, while Scott begins experiencing hypothermia, constraining them to remain behind from their separate gatherings. Different climbers go find support, abandoning Beck with Yasuko. Andy goes up to Ransack, wherein Burglarize